So when I first pulled it out of the box, I was pretty impressed with the finish and the anodizing and the rigidity of the tool. Obviously it's not a precision tool, but you want pretty good amount of precision or your dowel holes won't line up. The adjustment for the width is fairly smooth but tight. The end stop keeps your spacing from your edge of the wood to the first dowel precise. The drill sleeves are removable. You can just unscrew them and move them from hole to hole. It lets you get your positioning from the edge of the wood to your first dowel hole exactly where you want it. So that's pretty handy. And then they include dowel pins for each different size drill sleeve, and you can use those to set the spacing from your first hole to your second and all the subsequent holes by just sticking them in here and putting them in the dowel hole you just drilled. Of course, it comes with 3 of each size sleeve. They do wear out if you use them a lot, but if you treat them pretty carefully, these seem like they'll last a while. The anodizing is pretty nice on this. I found a couple of spots where it looked like it had gotten dinged against something, but tolerances on the parts are good. Like I said, it's not a high precision instrument, but it's precise enough for me. And it has this box you can keep it in. So let's see how it works. Just picked a couple of pieces of scrap 2x4 I had, so I'm going to adjust the end stop just to a random space because I'm not really making anything that I care about. I'll speed up the video so you're not sitting here watching me drill holes. But you can see that I've got 2 holes perfectly distanced from the end of the wood and centered from edge to edge. So now I'll just take the stop out, drop one of these dowel pins in, the 1/4 inch, that's the size hole I drilled, and then you just drop that in the hole and you've got perfect spacing to your next hole. And you can go down the board just as far as you want, doing that same thing over and over. So once I've got all my holes drilled, just grab some dowels, pop them in the holes, and the boards line up perfectly. So I'm really pleased with how well this worked. I've got a centering jig that I use, but it does not have the end stop or the pins, so I end up having to measure down the board, and sometimes if you're off by even just a 1/16 of an inch, they won't go together. It can also be used to just mark the center line of a board. Pencil fits pretty nicely right down into one of the drill sleeves, and just run it along the board, and you've got a pretty nicely centered line between the 2 edges of the board. And I found this other hole, I'm not sure what it's for, but I found it's the perfect size for a 0.5mm mechanical pencil. So it tends to break the lead if you just try and stick it in one of the big holes, but if you stick it in that little hole, it puts a lot less sideways pressure on the lead and it lets you use a mechanical pencil. So anyway, final thoughts. If you're doing any kind of doweling, you really have to have a doweling jig. It's almost impossible to drill 6 or 7 holes in 2 different pieces of wood and get them lined up perfectly without one. And I really like the way that this has the dowel pins that let you space out the hole from one hole to the next, because it's just so easy to make a perfect set of 6, 7, 8, just as many doweling holes as you want, and have your pieces line up and fit together perfectly. Definitely recommend this. Anyway, that's all I got. I hope this was useful, and have a great day.